This is Duke University.
So Adaptation Fever really started in 2005 as a photo project. I had received a grant to go to Vietnam to work on a project about Northern Catholics in Vietnam, Catholics who were living in Northern Vietnam. And just for a little bit of background on how I came to that topic to begin with, my family is Catholic, and they've been Catholic for many generations, but had all migrated south in 1954 when Vietnam was partitioned into North and South Vietnam. And in 2005, my uncle had just been ordained bishop of the largest Catholic region in Northern Vietnam, and was, in a kind of ironic turn of personal and political history, was returning to the very same region that his family had left. So he was returning to his Nha Quê, his home village, or his ancestral land. So this was the impetus for me returning to Vietnam in 2005 to work on a project around Catholicism in Northern Vietnam. And so for me, Vietnamese Catholics in the North really sort of troubled the boundaries, the sort of neat boundaries and binaries between sort of, oppressor, aggressor, colonized and aggressor. So for me, I was really interested in thinking about the subject of the colonized Catholic as a way to think about these boundaries and trouble them further. So I had gone to do this project with a camera, with a still camera and an audio recorder, and did many hours of interviews with Catholic nuns and some priests. But when I returned to the U.S. after a few months in Vietnam working on this project and was trying to construct the story together, or put together this project, it really wasn't working. It was really failing in many ways. And for me, the photographs were really too indexical of a specific time and a specific place, that it was really closing down the possibilities of thinking of those temporal shifts or the elisions between time, and thinking about this continuity of how one becomes a subject under colonialism. So I started to do research. I was just really, I had done all these interviews with nuns, and I was kind of stuck. So I started to do research, first going to documentaries, looking at what did Vietnam look like in the North under communism? What did Catholics look like in the North under communism? And so doing this research, I just found all of this amazing footage that was mostly B-roll, mostly just background images in between the larger story of the war, of both the war, the major battle at Dien Bien Phu in 1954, and also obviously the American war in Vietnam. Most of the documentaries that I found, they were interested in that period only as a precursor to the US war. And this was another reason why I was super interested in thinking about these images before 1954, because so much of what we know about Vietnam is based on the American war in Vietnam, or in the 60s and 70s. And so all of this footage, again, was taken, only in the interest of thinking about the American war. So the images were just incredibly striking to me and revealed so much about, the way that they were imagined by Western, through the Western camera. And for me, it was partly just, I was compelled by some of these people that I saw, that I felt like I wanted to really, still the moving image, to kind of think about them as subjects again. So for me, they became the stand-in for the subject that I was trying to think about in terms of this colonial subject. I mean, they were fictional subjects, but then real subjects as well. They were real people that actually existed, but only merely as sort of the background or the backdrop to this colonial history, this long colonial history that, for, again, Americans was only, a kind of blip in the history in terms of their the U.S.'s interaction with Vietnam. So that's where the images came from. I started to really think about how to use the footage in a way that would combine these sort of documents of this sort of colonial archive of Vietnam with the stories that I had heard. So that's really how the project came about, was based on a photographic project, but really wanting, and I think I still came to the project as a video project with a photographer's eye, really just interested in stilling or making still the moving image, and that's really how I approached it.
Produced by Duke University, online at duke.edu.